Hey guys, it's me again, Mr. Haddad. Today we're going to be doing some more one-step equations, but today's one-step equations are going to be multiplying and dividing. So yesterday we did the adding and subtracting, which are opposite of each other. Today we're going to be doing multiplying and dividing because, again, multiplying and dividing are opposites of each other. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So number one, let's go ahead and write this down. Negative 5x equals 1. So what's being done to x right now? It's being multiplied by a negative 5. So whatever you do, what you need to do is do the opposite of operation so that you can get the x by itself. So again, it's being multiplied by negative 5. The opposite of multiplying by negative 5 is dividing by negative 5. But whatever you do to one side, you make sure you have to do to the other side. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 5. Now on the left side of the equation, we have negative 5 divided by negative 5. These just cancel out, all right, because anything divided by itself is 1. And then you wind up with either 1x, or you can just leave the x by itself. On the other side, 1 over negative 5 doesn't really simplify. So I'm just going to leave it as negative 1 over 5. If you wanted to have the decimal version of it, it's okay. And the decimal version of this is negative 0.2. And again, just like yesterday, once we get an answer, we need to check the answer. Right? You will not get credit unless you check your answer. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So we're going to take the original equation, which is negative 5x equals 1, but instead of the x, we're going to put parentheses there. So we have negative 5 times parentheses equals 1. So let's go ahead and put the negative 1/5 in there, and then you can multiply that in your calculator. Negative 5 times a negative 1 over 5. Make sure if you are going to use the fraction, you need to put it in parentheses. So negative 5 parentheses, negative 1 over 5 parentheses. That's going to wind up getting you a positive 1 because negative times negative is positive. All right, so 1 equals 1. This tells me that my answer is negative 1 over 5. All right, so number 2, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, by the way, if you need to press pause, go ahead and press pause because I'm going to start on number 2 right now. But if you need more time to write number 1 down, that's where you go ahead and press pause, okay? Number 2, we have n over 4 equals negative 25. Now, n over 4 is a fraction, and most of you guys already know this, but a fraction is the same thing as division. So n over 4 is really n divided by 4. So the operation being done to n right now, it's being divided by 4. Again, we have to do the opposite operation. The opposite operation of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4. So let's go ahead and multiply by 4 on both sides. The 4's will cancel out because you can see the blue 4 is on top and the black 4 is on the bottom. So they're going to cancel out like that, leaving you with n by itself on the left side, again, which is our goal. The right side, we have negative 25 times 4. Please don't use your calculator for that. Just think about quarters. So if you have 4 quarters, 4 25-cent pieces, then you have a whole dollar. So negative 25 times 4, you should be thinking negative 100. Okay, just like number 1, let's go ahead and check our answer. So to check, we're going to write the original. The original being n over 4 equals negative 25. What we're going to write is parentheses over 4 equals negative 25. So let's go ahead and put the what the n value is. In this case, the n value is negative 100. So plug that in your calculator if you need it. Negative 100 divided by 4 gets you negative 25. So negative 25 equals negative 25. This check worked, and that tells me that n is equal to negative 100. All right, number 3. For number 3, we have another fraction, t over 8, but we have a negative sign in front. Now, normally, if you're dividing by 8, to get rid of it, you have to multiply by 8. But at the same time, to save time, what I want to do is I want to get rid of that negative. The way you can get rid of a negative is multiply by a negative. So instead of multiplying by plain old 8, I'm going to multiply by a negative 8. That way, the negative times the negative on the left side over here will cancel out to become positive. And then the 8 divided by 8 also cancel out. So that leaves you with t on the left side by itself. The right side, we have negative 10 times negative 8. Negative 10 times negative 8 is going to get you a positive 80. So our answer is t equals 80. Now let's go ahead and check to make sure that this is correct. The original was negative t over 8, so we're going to put negative parentheses over 8 equals negative 10. Let's go ahead and put the 80 in there. 80 divided by 8 is 10, and we're just going to bring down the negative. So negative 10 equals negative 10. That is true. Therefore, the answer is 80. Okay, now number 4 and number 5 are going to be done on you. You guys have, it's your responsibility to write it down. It's not going to show up on the screen, but it is going to show up after I finish talking. It is going to show up on the right side of the computer screen. So please go ahead and put those in there. Try to answer it as best as you can. It is multiple choice, so you do have to show your work though. So here's number 4. Go ahead and get started. All right, guys. Here's number 5. Are you gonna go ahead and write down the problem, answer it on the notes and in the computer. All right, number 6. We have 3 over 2 times a equals 15. Now, normally you could just divide by because right now a is being multiplied by 3/2. So since a is being multiplied by 3/2, you can divide by 3/2. That is a possibility. The other possibility is to do something called multiplying by the reciprocal. So this helps because it cancels stuff out right away, and you don't have to worry about using your calculator and making mistakes with dividing by a fraction. So what you can do is multiply by the reciprocal of 3 over 2. And what the reciprocal is, it's just basically a fancy word for saying flipped. So 3's on top, 2's on the bottom. If you flip it, it's going to be 2 on top, 3 on the bottom. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2 over 3. Now on the left side, the 2's will cancel and the 3's will cancel. That will leave you with a by itself. And then on the other side, you're going to have to do a little bit of simplifying to make it easier. Now 15 and 3 have something in common. They have 3 in common. So you can change that 15 to a 5 because 3 goes into 15 5 times, and then the 3 is just going to turn into a 1. So that's going to leave you with 2 times 5 on the top. The bottom is just going to be 1, so you don't really need it. So you're going to wind up getting a equals 10. Let's go ahead and check this really quick. So to check it, we're going to write the original problem, which is 3 over 2 parentheses equals 15. Let's put the 10 in there. So 3 over 2 times 10, that's going to wind up getting you 15. If you plug in your calculator, you get that 15. 15 equals 15, and we're good. All right, number 7. We have 7 over 5 times a equals negative 14 over 15. What we need to do is, again, multiply by the reciprocal. That way we can get rid of the 7 and the 5 at the same time. So let's multiply by 5 over 7 on both sides. Again, the 5's will cancel with each other, the 7's will cancel with each other, and you'll be left with just a. Now on the right side, we're going to have to simplify both of these, because if you look closely, the 7 and the 14 have something in common. That is 7. How many times does 7 go into negative 14? It goes into there negative 2 times. Then we have the 5 and the 15. How many times does 5 go into 15? 5 goes into 15 3 times, so that 15 turns into a 3. So we're left with, now do you see how the 5 over 7 is all canceled out? Really that just turns it into a 1. So we're just left with that first fraction, a equals negative 2 over 3. All right, let's go ahead and check our answer. So we have we have 7 over 5 times the parentheses equals negative 14 over 15. Let's go ahead and put the negative 2 over 3 in there. So let's multiply this across. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. 5 times 3 is 15. So we get two fractions that are the same, that equal each other. That's true. So our answer is a equals negative 2 over 3. All right, last one we're going to do together is 1/2 a equals 7 fourths. Now, the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2 over 1. If you just wanted to multiply by 2, that's okay as well. But the reciprocal of 1/2 can be 2 or 2 over 1. So it looks a little better to seeing this because then I can just cancel the 2's out, cancel the 1's out. So I'm going to be left with a equals, now, oh, I noticed that the 2 and the 4 have something in common. They have 2 in common. So when we divide them both by 2, the 4 turns into a 2, and the 2 turns into a 1. So again, we have 1 over 1 on the right fraction, so that doesn't even need to be there. So A is just equal to 7 over 2. Okay, let's go ahead and check our work. So let's plug this in. So we have negative 1 over 2 times 7 over 2. That's going to get me 7 over 4 equals 7 over 4. So that tells me that the answer is 7 over 2. All right, now you have 2 more problems, 9 and 10. You need to do these on your own. They're going to come up in a little bit. And then that's it for me. Make sure you answer these questions, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And good thing I just made it before I ran out of battery. That red little blinking light's been blinking for a long time. All right, guys, have a good one. See ya.